What's going on, boys and girls? Today we're going to talk about a fragrance from the house of Tory Burch. New to the channel, but I've had my nose on fragrances from this house for quite a while. I just wasn't really ready to talk about them, but this year we're going to bring out more scents for women from a male's perspective. I know a lot of women watch my content to consider fragrances for special men in their life, whether it be their kids, brothers, spouses, family members, friends, etc. And they even watch because I evaluate a lot of unisex fragrances, but I want to bring a lot of women's scents to the game. And so this is the start of that. And I think it's pretty unique in the marketplace. I don't know if it's a banger or not. That's why we're here today to figure that out. So ladies, this one's for you, or men. If you have a special lady in your life, you might want to tune in. Strap up. Let's go for that ride. All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am the host for the afternoon. Okay, from the house of Tory Burch, we have Sublime. Now, I thought there was a story on this fragrance, but upon further looking, they just kind of regurgitated some of the same stuff Fragrantica tells me. Couple quick overview things for you guys. This is classified as a leather fragrance for women. That's surprising. I haven't seen that in quite a while. There looks to be more going on with that, but we'll explore that shortly. Pretty affordable priced fragrance, 3.5 out of 5 though, so subpar ratings, only 232 votes. But I've seen a lot of fragrances from Tory Burch. I've got high hopes. But my job here is to give you clarity if you've spotted this fragrance before and wondered, would I need to purchase that? Or what does that smell like? I'm going to put two. Wow, I kind of had to douse myself because I missed. And then we'll go ahead and apply this to test strip as well. Leather fragrance for women, huh? I kind of have no clue what to anticipate. Speaking of which, ladies, are there any leather scents that are for women that you love? I can't think of any that, my wife or my mom or, I really in FragCom, I've never really heard a woman talk about a leather fragrance that's for women that they enjoy. Doesn't mean they're not out there, but makes me more excited to try this out. So this is like, they call it a leather fragrance. Throw that out the window. You will not smell this and think leather fragrance. It is it's a florally citrus fragrance, mostly floral. 60-40 in favor of florals. You get kind of like white, pink, purple florals, just very airy and fresh. Almost rosy, but not quite rose watery. I don't get a rose note or anything like that. I just get that floral sweetness. It's angelic, it's airy, it's natural, it's very well blended. I almost get a little bit of backbone of some greenness. As far as the leather, I don't smell leather at all. I just kind of get this undercarriage weightiness to the florals, which is nice because it gives body to the floralness. It's not too airy where it's just going to get destroyed in the elements. It has a nice butt to it. Yeah, to me, it's super dominant floral citrus, or super dominantly floral, but 60-40, it's, had it been like 70-30 or 80-20, I feel like this would just be a floral scent, but it does feel so much more than that. You get the airy, crisp, natural, angelic nature of kind of white, pink florals. In the heart, you get this nice little bit of sweetness from citruses, probably orange or something. I think it's going to be orange. And then the base kind of just, yeah, it's got, okay. The dry down is quite crazy because the florals and citrus really tone down. They're still super present, but in terms of their bright airiness, that kind of calms down and subdues. On skin, I can make out like this very fresh, airy, aromatic with a touch of leather. Like, I don't get a leather base. I get kind of these green herbal aromatics sitting on top of a little strip of leather. So it's still super airy and fresh and about the floral citric side, but the dry down calms it down and glues it to this like little aromatic, sophisticated base. And what it communicates to me is just like a nice, clean, pristine, elegant, super versatile, sophisticated wear for a woman. Not sophisticated in the sense of being signature or like, oh my gosh, who is that? But just well above average. This woman has taste and she does it so effortlessly. Let's go ahead and switch screens here and get a little bit more information. I'm really shocked that this scent got a 3.5 out of 5 and that not a lot of people have bought it. 2024 launch. Okay, so it's just a small sample size because, you know, in the world of perfumery today, Tory Burch is not, you know, it's not Chanel. It's not Billie Eilish. It's not, you know, Ariana Grande. It's not Baccarat, you know. So maybe it might just be B or C tier in terms of it's far down on the list and not on many women's radar. But I'm surprised. The only reason I could see this not at least being a 4 out of 5 on Fragrantica is if the performance is terrible. So we'll look into that. Oh, there goes that orange. Peach. I do get a little bit of peach, but man, it's so faint. It's mostly about orange. It's an orange that's slightly peachy. Ivy, I've never really seen that as a note, so that's interesting. I get a ton of magnolia, and I'm glad that I said it kind of goes rose, but isn't quite, because they put the note here. This magnolia Osmanthus heart is very pronounced. And again, the sweetness that I get from the orange and peach almost feels assisted by a tiny droplet of rose, almost like a little eyedropper of, you know, natural rose. And man, I gotta tell you, I absolutely adore this base. Vetiver in the base puts a smile on my face. Leather and patchouli. And so let me explain this to you guys, because this is really important in terms of how my mind works. These are notes on the top and heart that women are very familiar with and that women love. I've never seen a woman say, I don't like any of these notes, truthfully, unless one of these notes was like super dominant in a fragrance. So this blend is really familiar to women. But what that vetiver, leather, and patchouli do is it just adds, I don't want to get too nerdy about, well, the vetiver is a grassy, earthy, smoky. No, let's get out of that. What these notes are complexities, subtleties, richness, depth. Vetiver brings depth to the body of a fragrance. Leather tones definition to a fragrance in the sophistication area. Patchouli is basically like the suit and tie plant of the earth. You know what I'm saying? There's a natural richness and elegance and depth that comes with that. So you have all these light, airy, tinkery, angelic things in the top and heart, and they ground it in a sophisticated base, but they proportion it in such a way that you really don't smell vetiver, leather, or patchouli. You feel their effects of being in the base. You feel them more in the dry down because there's this big emphasis on elegance. But this is everyday, casual, effortless, upscale elegance. I mean, if you're a school teacher, this is a great work scent. If you work in the office, if you're corporate, if you're a secretary, this is a staple. This is an absolute staple. If you, rich girl casual, totally. But the tone of this feels very much grown woman. Not super grown, but not a child. You know, so you're out of college and you have a 9-to-5 job of some sort. Okay. So we're going to start the age bracket at that. But man, I just love when they take these very familiar things and then create contrast. And when you do this, it's scary because if you put too much vetiver, leather, and patchouli in this, you take the fragrance a completely different direction that probably will feel significantly less feminine. But these base notes really, in my mind, only make up about 15% of this entire fragrance. So that's beautiful because it's still very much about osmanthus, magnolia, orange, peach, ivy. But these are just supporting roles in accenting them to be as rich as possible. So you won't smell this, ladies, and go, ah, vetiver, ah, leather, ah, patchouli. No, you're going to be smelling everything else, but wondering why it's so rich, and these base notes are why. Let me just check as we switch over here to give some of my final thoughts. I just want to see if they compare this to anything. The performance in sillage is unanimously voted to be moderate. I feel like this is very much a two-foot projection. That's why I think it works special in the workplace or casually, because it doesn't need to sing. It's more of people come up to speak to you and they're in your aura and they smell this and they're like, wow, this is amazing. The peach isn't too peachy. The rose isn't too rosy. The magnolia is kind of seems to me like the star of the show, but you just get this white flower essence that's really nice. Moderate performance. I'm saying I'm spraying the heck out of this. Ladies, you know when you take a fragrance and you don't count, you just spray it all in the air, absorb that essence, walk into it, let it just hug your whole body. That's what you do with a fragrance like this. The more you spray it, it doesn't intensify. It just, you give it a lot more to dry down onto your skin and your clothes so that it can hold up throughout the day. Going outside, I feel the more air and breeze to this, the more it dilutes quicker over time. But I think you can comfortably get 4 or 5 hours out of this if you overspray. Which is totally fine for a fragrance like this. You know, I think this fragrance is so beautiful. Take a decant with you, throw it in the console of your car and spritz up. You know, after your work shift, you're going to the second half of your day, run it back. You know, this is beautiful. Let's see if there's any scent memories real quick that I'm familiar with. There's a fragrance by Marc Jacobs called Decadence that they say it's somewhat like. Chanel Chance, or no, yeah, Chanel Chance Eau Tundra. So it does have a very Chanel Chance vibe to it. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Marc Jacobs Daisy, Mojave Ghost from Byredo. I agree with all of that stuff with a little bit more of a lean towards Chanel Chance, which I wouldn't really call that an alternative because you're going to be spending a lot more money on it. Real quick, I'm so sorry. Let's go back to that window real quick. I want to just show you guys the bottle because the bottle, you know, not for nothing, this bottle does look fancy. I like that. And you can get this fragrance for, it retails at $125. You can get a 50 ml for $50. I really think you guys should just go into the 100 ml because this is a fragrance you want to have a lot of juice of. So you could, if you had a 50, ladies, you'd probably cash this bottle in like 4 months. You know what I'm saying? But very, very well priced for a 50 ml. I don't even think this is something you have to like get your nose on. I think it's blind buy worthy to me, but if you can get your nose on a decant, obviously that's always a good rule of thumb, but I don't think this is abrasive in any way. Like ladies, if you like rose waters and white florals and bouquets and stuff that's very airy and angelic, but still feels modern, you know, your Estee Lauders and stuff like that, and your Chanel Chances and Coco Mademoiselles and stuff, like this is totally familiar to you guys and it's elegant. And again, what nuances this just by a little bit is that leather patchouli and vetiver base. And don't be scared of it. It's almost undetectable, but what it's doing to the fragrance is quite special. So I'm going to give this fragrance probably maybe like strong 8. Again, I think performance will be the only issue, but ladies, if you shower and bathe with soaps and suds that are of this cut, you know, I don't care if it's melon, I don't care if it's floral, you know, floral doves and rosy doves and stuff like that. You come out of the shower with that and you slam this on it, I think you can easily get north of 6 hours. And if you struggle with that, just reapply. You know, women are much more into lotions and oils and just fancy schmancy stuff in the shower. So that should assist in the layering buildup of by the time you get to this spray. But don't count the sprays. Make an aura, walk in it, be done. Tory Burch Sublime, I give it a strong 8, strong 8, well above average. It's not super special, super signature. It doesn't have the most depth and complexity, but for a simple, airy, angelic wear, it's got a good personality, good enough depth, and I think it's valid in the marketplace, definitely above average. The price point is pristine. So with that being said, guys, is there anything else I want to tell you guys? Spring, summer, fall, winter would ruin this unless you've got some 70-ish weather fall, winters. So I think it's more spring, summer, or year-round work attire. You know, if you're indoors for work, you can wear it year-round. It would go. This is an amazing work scent, amazing upscale casual. You know, that just effortless modern femininity. That's just, you know, heavenly. So I really like it. 8 out of 10 for me. Solid fragrance. Definitely get your nose on it. Like, comment, subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. Ladies, when it comes to an effortless, airy, angelic wear, what are some of your go-to dumb reach fragrances that you've been wearing for a long time because it's tried and true? It gives you that confidence, that effortless beauty, that I don't have to try much to feel special, to feel like a woman. And it's just a confidence and a mood lifter for you. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you've tried this Tory Burch Sublime. Again, it is a 2024 release, so it hasn't been out very long, and I've never seen it in a Sephora or an Ulta Beauty. So if y'all have any information that can help the community out, put it in the comments section below. And until next time, this is SB. Hope y'all are blessed, and I'll catch you next time.